Hey guys, welcome back to this week's video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today I want to talk about a good friend of mine, Jason Falls. If you don't know Jason Falls, you have to know Jason Falls, okay? Google him, subscribe to his podcast, follow him on Twitter, connect with him on LinkedIn. Jason's a friend of mine, known Jason probably over 10 years, spoken at a couple of his conferences back in the day. He's written several books. He has a book coming out in 2021, and I'm excited to talk about it because I'm part of his email list, and he put out some trends to look for in influencer marketing in 2021, and I wanted to highlight those. But you know, Jason's a good guy, man. He's super wicked smart. He's great on video, great podcaster. He's got that radio voice. And as I said, Jason is an author. He's written books. He was writing books before writing books was the thing to do. He wrote a book probably mid-2000s around email marketing. He wrote a book also called No BS Social Media. I highly recommend you buy that book. It's still relevant today. And like I said, 2021, he has a book coming out. I'm going to look at it real quick. Winfluence is the name of the book. Reframing Influencer Marketing to Ignite Your Brand. Now, as I said, I belong to his email list, and he shared some trends that I thought were really important. So I'm not just going to repeat the trends, but I do want to provide my context on what I'm seeing in the industry and how it complements some of the things that Jason is seeing as well. And the first trend that Jason outlines is that follower counts are now irrelevant. And I've been saying this for quite some time. He's been saying this. A lot of industry leaders agree that just follower counts or the size of an audience is just one factor of many data points that are important when identifying the right influencers to partner with. Now, we look at 4 different data points, and I'll quickly describe them. The first is reach. How big is their community? How large is their audience across all of their channels, including RSS feeds, or if they are publishing content on Forbes, how many views and are they getting? What's the RSS subscriber number to Forbes, etc. Those are all numbers that we factor in. The second is relevance. So how often are they talking about a topic that's important to a client? That topic could be 5G, it could be fashion, it could be travel, it could be AI. But the important thing is are they authority in that topic? Are they mentioning it in different ways across the platforms where they have audiences in? And the third is resonance. So when they are publishing content around those topics, is it being engaged with? Is it resonating with their audiences? Are people liking it? Are they commenting on it? Are they sharing it? And then looking at the engagement rate of those numbers is also important. And then lastly, which I think is unique, and we call it reference, and other industry leaders and platforms out there do reference the same way, but we define it a little bit differently. We look at how often an influencer is being referenced by the audience that we're trying to reach. So if we're selling products to an IT decision maker, we like to look and see and understand, is an audience of IT decision makers, do they follow, mention, and or engage with the influencer? That's huge, right? That's very important if you're trying to reach a specific audience. So that's what we look at. We look at those 4 data points. And the second trend that Jason talks about is the shift towards creators. And I think that we can all agree that we're in this environment today where everybody's creating content. Some do it really well, some do it mediocre, some are terrible at it. Not sure where I am in that list, probably in the middle somewhere. But the idea of shifting to creators is important, not just on the consumer side. Consumer marketers and brands have been doing this for a long time, right? Partnering with influencers to create amazing content, amazing experiences. On the B2B side, we're seeing the same thing happen. Now, in technology, there are a lot of influencers who are what I would call social promoters or, content amplifiers, right? They have large followings, they get a lot of retweets and engagements and likes, and all they're doing is sharing or retweeting branded content, right? And you do need that in some instances, right? That is part of a great way to get content in front of audiences that you don't have access to. Partnering with creators is a little bit different, right? It's partnering with someone or a group of people who have their own thoughts and their own ideas and own predictions for 2021, whatever it is. And so the shift towards creators is not just happening on the consumer side of the business in influencer marketing, but also B2B and tech brands are also finding value in partnering with influencers that do the same. And trend number 3 is looking beyond influencers. And I think this is very important. In fact, Jason talks about a program he did where they basically activated offline influencers, KOLs, etc., and how important that is because not every influencer has an online presence. I think we can all agree to that. I do think COVID-19 has changed that a little bit. I think that some of the KOLs in healthcare and business are understanding that they need to get their voice heard. And when they can't really attend meetings or events, they need to kind of build their own personal brand. But I would say that looking beyond influencers is also looking at those, not just the nano and micro influencers. Those are still influencers. In fact, everyone is an influencer, right? And so when he wrote this, and I was thinking about it within my own personal experience, I remember back in the day, we used to do these customer advocate programs where we would just ignite, enthusiasm and excitement with people who had a strong emotional connection with our brand. We did this for BlackBerry back in the day. And so it's kind of the same thing, right? It's finding groups of people, audiences, customers who have a natural affinity towards the brand and giving them the tools necessary for them to, tell your brand story. And most of the time they'll do it for free, right? Because they have that affinity towards your business or your product. And that's the beauty about it. A lot of times with these, customer advocates, you don't necessarily have to pay them. You do have to pay attention to them and operationalize a program. But outside of that, 9 times out of 10, they're willing to share content and talk publicly about your brand, even when you don't ask them to do so, which is amazing. And trend number 4 is widening the celebrity, or Jason calls it the advertising gap. And I've never been a fan of activating celebrities. They never really influenced me to purchase products, with the exception of one time about a decade ago. I purchased the Total Gym, and it's only because Chuck Norris was on this infomercial, and Chuck Norris is a badass, and I bought it. Outside of that, I'm not going to go buy a particular car because Chris Paul says that he enjoys driving that car, or he has a particular insurance. I trust other people. I want to, and I'm open to being influenced, not just by advertising, because I love when targeted ads, but when there are people like me who have similar interests and affinities, those are the people that influence me to purchase products. And trend number 5 is increased tension between transaction and relationship. And if you work in direct marketing or PR or influencer marketing, you know what I mean, right? The CMO all the time asks, what is the ROI of this investment? Are we going to sell products if we amplify this program? Or why should I give you more money if you can't provide an ROI? And I do believe that there is tension internally. And I do think that marketers, whether you're on the marketing side or on the PR side, have to come to an understanding and start to think about the ways to measure influencer marketing the right way. You can measure sales with influencer marketing. And if you're not, then you should be. In B2B, you really can't. Now, there are certain things that you can do to directionally provide some type of hypothesis that there was a lead or there was a sale. You can certainly track leads, and we do that all the time. And so relationships are important, but so is a transaction. And so there is going to be an increased tension, and there's no right or wrong answer, right? Every brand is different. Every brand has different goals. So the important thing is ensure that marketing and PR and whoever manages influencer marketing, they're on the same page. Everybody's communicating. Everybody understands what the goals are, what the program is, and also how it's going to be measured. And that really concludes my video for today. Again, I just want to highlight Jason's book, Winfluence. It comes out in 2021. I highly recommend it. You should also listen to his podcast. Jason is very academic. If you read his blogs and his email newsletters, he's not just academic and has, certain theories, but he's also a practitioner. I mean, he does this for a living. And so you have the best of both worlds when you're reading and consuming information from him. So highly recommend it. And again, thank you so much for watching. Appreciate it. And until I see you next time, hope you're safe, and I'll talk to you soon.